Oh, we're recording. Just, just wanted to warn you because you're standing near the camera. Never used to have to worry about a hot mic at a service.
Was there classes in rabbinical school about things?
There was not. Just anyway.
You ready?
Yes.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Page 131.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
And welcome back to our cantorial soloist, Rebecca Schwartz. You've got a Shabbat shalom from the chat, a Shabbat shalom, hi Rebecca, missed you last week, and mazel tov.
Thank you.
So everybody's very glad to have you back and very happy for Eric and Katie and for your whole family for the wedding. That's really wonderful. I'm Rabbi Leah Berkowitz, and we are delighted to welcome you here to Kol Ami. I am friends with a lot of people who have very small children, and everybody seems to have some sort of cold or flu this week. So in addition to praying for their speedy recovery, this poem came across my social media feed by Carrie Newcomer, and I thought it would be a good way to start. It's called In the Season of Tissues. My mother believed, well, she believed a lot of things. Like pocketbooks and shoes should match. Lettuce must be torn and not cut. And Richard Nixon was a crook. But she also believed that everything from colds to flu to upset stomachs to a broken heart could be mended, if not outright cured, with soda crackers and warm ginger ale. Toss in a couple of red and white cans of Campbell's chicken noodle soup, and there you'd have it, an entire professional pharmacopoeia in a brown paper bag. But mostly it was the love I remember, the cool hand on my forehead, the smell of VapoRub on my chest, the way she'd check in regularly, or let me wrap up in a blanket on the couch and watch her favorite soap opera as she irons shirts and pillowcases. That is why I always have soda crackers and cans of soup in my pantry. You never know when the most simple gesture will be just what the doctor ordered, when a little bit of flour and water and a little something sweet might help bring down a fever or lighten a burden. I think this is why my daughter, who is now a grown woman living in a busy urban center, will still call me when she's meepy, which is the word we use to describe feeling a little fluish and vulnerable. I'll call her honey and poor baby and ask if her husband can stop on his way home for soda crackers and ginger ale, maybe some soft tissues, the ones with aloe in them. And she always says, "Thanks, Mom," and I always think, "Thanks, Mom." And the whole world feels more tender, more caring, more worthy of saving, because love continues to hold steady in large and small ways, resonating for generations, or lightening our days right here and right now in the season of tissues. Our service continues on page 121. Elaine, would you like to light candles tonight?
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal God, law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you and love you. Same here. Yeah.
Page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Page 138. Page 146, we remain standing for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai,
Page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 150. Everlasting love, you have offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום בלבבך, ושמתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לראות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם בין כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Shabbat, v'inafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל, את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Page 164, we rise in body and in spirit for the tefillah.
Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Toim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chaspei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, V'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magein, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Kol Atarav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkeh Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Samech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Gevurot, U'Mida Melech, Melech Memit, U'Mechayeh, U'Matmiach Yeshua, V'Neman Atah HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaOl. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. Page 172. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel who sanctifies your name may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance, and let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirah ne'avod.
Adonai Elohim.
your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place. What are we humans that you are mindful of us, we mortals that you take note of us? You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth.
Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, ulecha la'el lehodot. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki hatovu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה ישלומך. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Please take a moment for silent prayer. That's so lovely. We pause in the heart of our service to offer a prayer for those in our community who are ill. If there's a name you'd like to share for a blessing of healing, please do so now.
Cheryl Blumenthal and Pat Rutten.
Rachel Watson.
We are thinking of Evelyn Haas, Jennifer Heath, David Harrison, Barry Cohen, Joe Crinty, Rita Siegel, Stephen Witt, Jerry Klebanoff, Sylvia Fishbein, Max Shapiro, Randy Kahn, and Margie Jacobs, as well as Bob Wolfson and Georgie Clymer. We are on page 371. We add to these prayers of healing Debbie Maddox and Hannah Brenner. And just as we share life's difficulties, we also share life's joys. What are we celebrating today? You have one.
Yes, so my son Eric got married, and I got to do the ceremony, so it was just unbelievable up in the Red Rocks in Sedona. And my parents celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary.
Mazel tov. Wow, that is a big one. Well, let's hope that Eric and Katie, I don't know if that's physically possible for them to have that many years, but as many as they can.
Many as they can.
As many as they can. Yes, Lisa.
I had a busy week.
Yeah.
We got to see my brother for the first time in like 3-4 years. Well, definitely before the pandemic. My cousin became a grandfather for the first time on Wednesday.
Yay, mazel tov.
And my son's birthday is next week.
Wonderful. Happy birthday to your son. My older brother has his birthday today, which is very exciting. It's like the beginning of our season because mine's exactly 2 weeks after his. So I still haven't been able to get a hold of him, though, because we're in different time zones. What else are we celebrating today? All right, well, we will rejoice in all of those things and continue on. So this week's parashah begins, "Go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you." So imagine that you are hearing these words for the first time and that they are directed at you. Imagine they come from a voice that you've never heard before, a voice claiming to be the one true God. What is your next move? I once posed this question to a group of 7th graders whose first response was to say, "New phone, who dis?" But immediately afterwards, with only a brief interlude into what do I wear and what do I pack, came what is possibly the most important question: who do I get to take with me? Avram doesn't ask any of these questions. In fact, he says nothing at all. He just starts walking. It is the text that provides our answers. Avram took his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot and all the wealth that they had amassed and the persons that they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for Canaan. If we truly want to answer the question of who do I get to take with me, we also have to address the question, who am I leaving behind? And to answer that inquiry, we have to flip back a few pages to last week's Torah portion. At the end of Parshat Noach, we find out that although God has not yet called Avram to go forth, his entire family has already started their journey. We read, Terach took his son Avram, his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, the wife of his son Avram, and they set out together from Ur of the Chaldeans for the land of Canaan. But when they had come as far as Haran, they settled there. And the days of Terach were 205 years, and Terach died in Haran. So why is it that they started on this journey in the first place, prior to God's call? And having done so, why did they stop in the middle? This was no quick jaunt across town. Ur was essentially the southeasternmost corner of Iraq. Haran was located at the northernmost tip of Syria. It is quite possible that Terach and his family were simply exhausted. As modern readers, we might read a little bit into the word settled. He was comfortable, so he stayed where he was. Or, as this sometimes happens, Terach might have fallen ill and died before he could continue on to his original destination. But the rabbis point out that there are 65 years between when Avram left for Canaan and when Terach died at the ripe old age of 205. Why then does Avram's departure appear after Terach's death in the Torah? Rabbi Isaac says that the wicked, even in their lifetime, are called dead. This hints at the rabbinic tradition that paints Terach as an idol maker who clashed with his son, the monotheist, at every turn. Terach couldn't go forward. He was stuck in his old ways. But whether or not Terach was physically dead or spiritually dead, or as a popular movie suggests, only mostly dead, when Avram left for Canaan, most rabbis agree that there was no way Terach could have completed the journey with Avram. My teacher, Rabbi Norman Cohen, suggested that it was psychologically and spiritually necessary for Avram to lose his father before answering God's call. Many rabbis translate Lech Lecha as go to yourself, become your own person, pursue your own destiny. Avram, Rabbi Cohen supposed, could only begin this journey of self-discovery after his father's death. These words resonate with me now in a different way than when I first learned them. While I would argue that I knew plenty about myself before my father died, I certainly learned a lot about myself and my family after he was gone. Mostly, I've learned how much he is still with us, not in a ghost or a spirit type of way, but in the wisdom and humor that I gained from having him with me as long as I did. The rabbis have many reasons for why Terach couldn't complete the journey, but I wasn't able to find any answers regarding why he started it. How did he know that he needed to move in this direction? Why did he undertake such an arduous journey knowing that he couldn't complete it? I hadn't paid much attention to Terach before. He's kind of an afterthought at the end of Parshat Noach. But reading between the lines of the story, I found myself thinking that rather than criticize Terach for not being strong enough to reach Canaan, we might instead give him some credit for walking his son halfway there. My parents both lost their fathers in their 30s, just like I did, and my mother lost her mother as a teen. But that didn't mean our ancestors weren't present with all of us on our journey. My parents quoted their parents often and told us stories about their lives. It was clear that they shaped my parents into who they were and guided them on their path even after they were no longer walking beside them, and that was particularly evident when my father went to negotiate for the sale of a car. He suddenly became his father. And fortunately, even growing up without 3 of our grandparents, we had plenty of influential elders in our lives. My mom grew up spending family holidays going from house to house on the one street in Albany where all her aunts, uncles, and her grandmother lived. On Passover, she said she would eat 3 breakfasts so she could have matzah brai in every kitchen. The cousins all slept on rollaway cots in one basement. My mom aspired to be just like her Aunt Muriel, who was beautiful even into her late 90s, and whose home was the hub and gathering space for the family. When my mother's own mother died young, my mother's aunts and uncles took care of her as if she were their own. And every year, we all made the pilgrimage to Albany to visit this branch of our family, who served as our auxiliary grandparents. Their love was expansive. There was always room for one more. My great-aunt Muriel, who died this year on Rosh Hashanah, was the last remaining relative of that generation. My great-uncle Billy, to whom she was married for 69 years, not quite as long as the Wolperts, had died 4 years earlier. My favorite story about this group of relatives was one my mother told me a few years ago, right after Billy died. In the late 1980s, my mom was traveling by bus from a wedding in New York City all the way upstate to Utica so that she could visit her father, who lived there and who was dying of cancer. The bus made an hour-long stopover in Albany, and all her aunts and uncles drove downtown in one car just to sit with her in the bus station and then wave goodbye to her as the bus pulled away. That is a special kind of love. It is a rare person who is with us on our life's journey from beginning to end. Sometimes all we can do is walk them part of the way. Sometimes all we can do is sit in one place with them for a stretch of time. When Billy died, we all went to the funeral. It felt important in that moment to be physically present. That wasn't possible for us when Muriel died, so we tried to be present in other ways, sending loving messages to her children and grandchildren and holding space for their grief. Sometimes that's all we can do, and sometimes that's all that matters. We might say that Terach got too comfortable or stuck or was too weak to go the distance. We might posit that Avram could only achieve his full potential when he left his father behind. But we also might see Terach's journey, incomplete as it was, as an act of love. The text doesn't say that Terach and his family set out for Haran. It says that they set out for Canaan. Even though God had not yet called to Avram to tell him where to go, his father knew to start moving the family in that direction, even if they wouldn't make it all the way there. Maybe he was there to wave goodbye to Avram as the caravan pulled away, and maybe he wasn't. But either way, Terach started a journey with his son. He started a journey with Avram that he knew he might not be able to finish. Perhaps he loved his son so much that he decided to walk with him halfway, and then sat with him as long as he could so that Avram could prepare himself to move forward on his own. The spiritual teacher Ram Dass once said that in life we are all just walking one another home. Sometimes we only make it halfway. Sometimes that's all we can do. And sometimes that's all that matters. Shabbat Shalom. We continue on page 586. We rise in body and in spirit for Aleinu.
Thank you.
and our lives overflowing like a river with understanding. Love each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. You may be seated. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. This week we are mourning the recent passings of Velma Friedman, aunt of Shelley Chamberlain, and Ria Glickstein, mother of Elaine Gershenson. We are also observing the art sites of Alvin Applebaum, husband of Ria Applebaum, Dudley Backup, brother of Marjorie Backup, Dr. Aaron T. Beck, father of Alice Dubois, Michael Fink, cousin of Franz Serkin, Joseph Gartenberg, father of Cheryl Turetsky, Joseph Harris, uncle of Barry Steinbrecher, Fred Harrison, father of David Harrison, William Holtzman, grandfather of Rosalind Holtzman, Susan Stone McDonald, mother of Cheryl Cohen, Murray Rice, uncle of Bonnie Goldstein, Stephen A. Silverman, brother of Michael Silverman, and Seymour Steinbrecher, father of Barry Steinbrecher. If there's a name you'd like to add to this list, please do so now. We add Mark Gowen. Kaddish can be found on page 598. We rise in body and in spirit. Yikadal v'yikadash shmei rabbah, be'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei v'yomei v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, hagala v'yizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam u'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. Our Shabbat Kiddush can be found on page 123. Oh, yes, of course.
So long, girls. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'gafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kosho ya'avaru ratzon hivkilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tefillah v'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tzivat Mitzrayim. Kimanu amarta, Yotanu kidashta, Mikoli, V'Shabbat koshata, Le'avahu ratzon, V'nechamtanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'aron.
We have Shabbat morning services tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the Price Chapel. And next week on Sunday at 1, we have on the 13th, we have a healing service which will be virtual. So if you'd like to come for healing for yourself or a loved one, we hope that you'll join us on Zoom. And then following that, we will have the makeup class for the class that was during the last game of the World Series, because apparently people didn't want to pregame by studying Talmud. So that will be at 2:30, also online. Anything? Oh, and I also heard, just since you did Shalom Rav tonight, Kol Beseder, Jeff Klepper and Dan Friedlander are playing at Brit Achim tomorrow evening. So if that's something that you're interested in, I can look it up for you and send you the. I'm guessing everybody's going to be watching the game, so probably not. But if anybody's really, really into that Shalom Rav, they're playing. What shall we sing as a closing song this evening?
We're going to turn to page 230 at the top of the page. This is a morning prayer that we never get to do in the evening, but it's about love. So I thought it might be pretty. And also next Friday night, the adult choir singing. Is that right?
Yes, that is
Good.
right.
Okay. Just want to make sure I have.
And in 2 weeks, the student choir is
And 2
singing.
weeks the student choir, right? So for those who don't usually attend on Shabbat morning, I'm going to do a little nigun. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
nice. It's weird not to go into Shema from that.
I know.
Baruch atem b'vo'echem, Baruch atem b'tzeitchem. Blessed were you when you came into the house of God. Blessed may you be as you go forth. God, we are so grateful to be together, to be in each other's presence, even if only for an hour. Help us to draw strength from one another and go out into the world to make it better. And let us say, Amen.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yair Adonai panav elacha v'chunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elacha v'yaseh lecha shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.